If you're not catching absolute heaps of fish out there every time you hit the water, you should take a look at this one really scary study out there that's pointing its finger to a hugely controversial piece of equipment. Of course, we're talking about Livescope or Livescope technologies, the spotlighters, the cheater box, as some have called it. There's a million different names out there, and it's a hugely controversial subject, but this scientific report may shed some light on some things that might change your mind about fishing and how you fish. So many fish-a-lots out there are always worried about, do I have the best gear for the job when it comes to my fishing? And in terms of the best equipment, specifically with Livescope technologies, that train of thinking could be leading to a lot more fish-a-lots out there than you think coming up dry in each and every one of their fishing trips. Now, I gotta give credit where credit is due. A lot of the information we're gonna discuss in this video comes from a brilliant interview done by Tavarius Haywood on his YouTube channel, interviewing Keith Niels, a biologist that is studying Livescope and its effect on regional fisheries. You're gonna wanna stay tuned for this one, fish-a-lots. If you wanna see that whole video in its entirety, I'll leave a link in the description below. But nice job out there to Tavarius. And so the question that you should be asking yourself as we move along through this video is Livescope a crutch for people that just cannot find fish normally? Or is it something like new technology that should be adopted by everybody because technology advances and fishing advances? Does it have an adverse effect on the environment? Is it crushing fisheries throughout the country? Fish-a-lots out there are looking at stricter fisheries regulations surrounding many different species of fish. Although a number of factors were cited during the interview discussing the alarming decrease in fish populations, this included things like dropping water levels and invasive species. But it was also mentioned the absolute staggering increase in widespread adoption of Livescope technologies really has biologists seriously worried. In the Keith Niels interview, he revealed that after a 3-year study from 2021 to 2023, the use of Livescope or live sonar technologies has increased from 20% of all fish-a-lots in 2021 to a staggering 70% of fish-a-lots in 2023. With this widespread use of Livescope technology that literally allows somebody to spot a big fish and follow it around the lake trying to catch it, fish populations and size of fish has been in steady decline. This is the reasoning why state agencies like the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks are now looking to impose very strict catch limits and size limits on their fish. The thing that you already have to ask is why limit the fisheries and not just limit the use of the technology that is causing the decline to begin with? Then again, you have to consider the fact that many people have invested thousands of dollars in this technology to gain that advantage, and taking it away overnight would be a tough pill to swallow for those poor folks. Not to mention the fact that how much money is involved from huge corporate businesses that are making these live sonar technologies. So guys, let's pause right here. Right here's the question. Is it good or is it bad? Would you support something like a ban on Livescope technologies? Or are you one of the ones that have it and invested your hard-earned money into it and you don't want to see it go? Do you think if you removed it, if people would catch the same fish that they catch now without the crutch, let's call it, of the Livescope sonar tech? I don't know, leave me your comments below. I love the debate and I love talking fishing, fish-a-lots. Let's get into it. All in all, the tougher regulations are being discussed in response to the use of Livescope, among other factors that are causing growth overfishing. Growth overfishing is described by biologists as a process where fish are being harvested faster than they could grow. Think about you growing a tomato plant and you're picking the green tomatoes off the plant before they actually get red. Well, that's kind of what Livescope is doing. People are able to spot the biggest fish in the lake and they're targeting, catching them, in many cases eating them, removing them out of the lake. Then, as you go down the size, you're only left with smaller and smaller fish to catch. Hence, the green tomato versus red tomato analogy there. So in terms of Livescope, the ability for people to pick out the biggest fish in the lake, target them, and catch them, you can see why biologists are getting worried. Keith also expresses the fact that biologists all around the country are concerned and see Livescope as a nationwide problem, as northern states, the issue of growth overfishing is further complicated by the fact that northern fish just grow a lot slower than in the south, meaning that fishing pressure from these live-scoping technologies can have even more of a significant impact on northern fisheries, given the fact that fish like crappie in the south may grow 10 inches in only 3 years, while in the north, that same size crappie may take more than twice as long to grow to the same size. This basically means that northern fisheries will not be able to recover as quickly from larger breeding size fish being removed from the environment at such an alarming rate. An interesting point brought up in the interview was the fact that with the increasing use of Livescope technologies is also the rise in new charter businesses, which is kind of funny actually, given the fact that people who otherwise don't know how to catch fish or find fish can now be in the fishing business running a charter, helping others catch fish. But regardless of why there's an increase in charter businesses, this additional fishing pressure is quite staggering, as in the Mississippi alone, in the past year, over 100 new charter licenses were issued out, as Livescope technology even seems to be replacing the seasoned anglers. More interesting than the boom in charter businesses is the fact that one of the techniques biologists are relying on is to wait until the fish resources is utterly exhausted by all the fishing pressure, and as the fish goes away, the fishing pressure will eventually go away, and the charter businesses will eventually go away, because there's just not going to be that many fish to catch. I don't personally agree with that, because why would you wait for a catastrophic failure in fish populations before you actually start doing something about the fishing? It just kind of seems a little bit silly to me, but hey, this is what the biologists are saying. Given all the concern around Livescope technologies, its use remains widespread and fully supported by a great many fish-a-lots out there, many of which are on YouTube promoting its use, whether they're affiliated with these companies or not. There are a few, of course, on the other end of the spectrum that are adamantly opposed to this technology and actually want it banned. One such famous largemouth bass angler out there is Randy Blockett, who openly makes numerous YouTube videos denouncing what he calls the cheater box, saying it's absolutely destroying fishing, specifically bass fishing. The truth of the matter is, fish-a-lots, whether you own Livescope, wish you own Livescope, or absolutely hate and denounce Livescope, this technology will inevitably change fish behaviors, and use of Livescope will only take fish-a-lots so far. Regardless of the type of technology that you choose to bring out there with you on the water, your fishing success day to day is going to rely on you knowing fish and learning fish behaviors and getting brilliant at the basics. Now, brilliant at the basics doesn't mean easy, and it doesn't mean beginner. It means it's how you master fishing, and Livescope cannot do that for you. And if you want to see exactly how this works without the use of Livescope or the cheater box or whatever you want to call it, go ahead and click on this video right here where I show you exactly that. Knowing the basics and being brilliant at the basics can really outfish all of your friends out there without spending thousands and thousands of dollars on pieces of technology. So go ahead and check it out, fish-a-lots, and I'll see you out there on the water.